Samson, and thank you very much for joining Shoes in Bitcoin.
Thanks for having me on, Valeria.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about you?
Great, thank you. Having in
That's
mind
good.
the fact I'm talking to you and I've been waiting since some time to have this conversation, so I really appreciate your time and that you've managed to join me today.
Yeah, sorry that I'm late.
It's absolutely not a problem, don't worry. So, Samson, I'm really curious to know more about you. Who are you? How did you join the Bitcoin industry and when this has happened?
Sure. So I guess my original background is in game development, and I got into Bitcoin by accident. So I joined my friend's company at the time, BTC China, which later rebranded to BTCC. And I was first helping out as an advisor, and then later on, the COO left, and he said, can you help me fill this role? So I had to ramp up quickly and learn the ropes of operating an exchange and mining pool. But yeah, that's how I got my start in the Bitcoin space.
Great. So, by an accident, I think lots of people are joining this industry by an accident. But actually, at the end of the day, it's not an accident because you're contributing already how many, 6, 7 or more years. So,
Yeah,
you're doing a great job at
thank you.
Blockstream. So, and what about Blockstream? How has happened this you to join the company?
Yeah, so I had met Adam back during the scaling wars. There was a series of meetings with miners, and we kind of crossed paths during those meetings. And I got to know him a bit, and I got to know some of the people at Blockstream too. And then I think in late 20, 2016, I think it was actually in Scaling Bitcoin Milan. Adam and I sat down and he said, do you want to come and help out Blockstream with some marketing stuff? And I said, sure. But actually, I think there was a lot more that was needing help, like business and product development, along with other areas. So I kind of helped Adam out, and we've been doing a lot of cool things ever since.
Great. So I have also written to Adam back last year and I have invited him for a conversation. However, maybe it was too early. I will try the coming months once again to check whether he is available and to get more information directly from the valley of knowledge. Okay, so I see actually Blockstream from that's what I've already seen during these 3 years I'm in the industry and trying to learn more and more about the technology. Blockstream is, I would say, the most important company and enterprise that is setting the standards in the industry. So this is a very huge responsibility. And I see you guys are non-stop working on upgrading your products. So I've managed so far to focus a little more on liquid, but I don't know honestly anything about the Blockstream satellite. And if you could brief me more about it, because when I meet with a newcomer, a new person who is really interested to understand more about Bitcoin, and when I say that there is a satellite, and everybody is looking like that. However, I'm not able myself to explain it, which is not
Yeah.
okay.
So we do a lot of different things at Blockstream. We describe ourselves as a Bitcoin infrastructure company. So that means we're focusing on Bitcoin, augmenting Bitcoin in a number of ways. We work on the Bitcoin protocol itself. We work on layer 2 scaling technologies like the Liquid network, like the Lightning network. And also, as you mentioned, we have Blockstream Satellite, which is a satellite service that is broadcasting the Bitcoin blockchain all around the Earth. And I guess if you want to learn more about that, I can expand
Yes,
more
yes,
on it.
yes.
So the idea behind Blockstream Satellite is we're investing a lot of money and resources into building on Bitcoin. And one of the systemic risks is that you can have splits in the Bitcoin network if internet to a country that has a lot of hash rate is cut. So what Blockstream Satellite does is it effectively mitigates network splits. So as long as one person in that region is running Blockstream Satellite, like let's say um, let's say in India, like an undersea cable is cut to India, and there's a lot of hash power in India, then as long as one person in India is running a Blockstream Satellite node, getting the blocks from space in their satellite dish, then they can keep that country in sync with the rest of the network. So effectively, Bitcoin is no longer reliant on terrestrial internet because now you can get Bitcoin blocks through space. And I think we have about 99% coverage of the world, most of the major areas, even some of the ocean as well. So
Wow.
we're using 4 geosynchronous satellites in orbit, and we're broadcasting through these stations on Earth. They're called teleports. So they're sending the Bitcoin blocks up, and then they get rebroadcast back down, to Earth. So even as you're sitting there right now, the Bitcoin blockchain data is like all around you. If you just have a satellite dish set up and aligned to our satellites, then you'll be able to get that Bitcoin blockchain. Now, another benefit of Blockstream Satellite is it cuts down on bandwidth. So if you're running a Bitcoin full node right now, maybe you're
Mhm.
getting about 4 or 5 gigabytes a month in data. So with Blockstream Satellite, you no longer need to eat up your local bandwidth capacity, and it lets you access the Bitcoin blockchain when you have no internet. So you could set up a satellite dish in the middle of the desert. And the cool thing about Bitcoin Blockstream Satellite is we broadcast the Bitcoin Core client as well, and all blocks from Genesis. So you can walk into the middle of the desert, set up a dish, set up your node, or go with a laptop, get the Bitcoin Core client, and download the entire blockchain just without having any internet connectivity. And one real world application of this, and we're utilizing this in some of our mining operations, is that you can mine without needing internet.
Hmm.
So you get the Bitcoin blockchain through the satellite service. And when you find a block, you broadcast it through a satellite uplink. So these are like little terminals, or you can send it through an SMS message, or even, you might have internet, but it's like a dial-up modem or something that will work too. So it opens up the possibilities for accessing stranded energy in areas where there is no internet.
Sounds amazing. So it means Bitcoin is unstoppable.
Pretty
So
much.
yeah, so absolutely, I love it. And you have mentioned mining. If I remember correctly, you have launched mining last year, at the end of last year, or maybe I'm wrong.
It might have
So,
been earlier than that, but we first started shortly after I joined in 2017. We bought some containerized miners, and then we went to Quebec. This is before the gold rush. So we went and secured some power from Hydro Quebec, and we set up there. And then later on, we expanded into Georgia in the US.
mm, what do you think right now with all these? I'm not sure how shall I call all these news that are. I would say that this is not news, but it's something that's happening on regular basis in the media regarding the ban in China right now. Again, that's creating a little bit panic. So
Yeah, well,
something normal, I would say.
the interesting thing is, I would say like Bitcoin is mostly banned in China, and it has been for a number of years. You weren't able to use it as tender, so you couldn't pay for goods with Bitcoin. That was blocked. You couldn't trade on a Bitcoin exchange, so the exchanges servicing users in China were mostly shut down in 2017. And I know this because I was working at one. And then, you know, mining has been cracked down on for a number of months, especially in Inner Mongolia at first. And then now it seems to be expanded to Sichuan province, where most of the hydroelectric power is. But I think it's not really a bad thing that mining moves out of China, because one piece of FUD that is very prevalent is that China controls Bitcoin mining. So right now, with all the miners moving out, that FUD is kind of nullified, right? You can't really say Bitcoin controls Bitcoin mining because the miners are gone. But that's a bit of an exaggeration. I think there's still going to be mining in China, but maybe smaller operations.
Mhm.
But for sure, the larger operations, a number of the larger operations have already migrated or are in the process of migrating out of China.
Yeah, I've just seen an article while waiting for you about Kazakhstan that they've moved some hardware to Kazakhstan. Okay. And I'm really curious right now, as you know much better than me, everybody talks about NFT. And I saw also Paris Hilton 2 days ago. She has shared she's launching her NFT. I asked her whether it's going to be on Liquid, but she did not reply. Um, so I have understood. Last week I had a webinar with Vulpen Ventures, and they've mentioned about the Jade that you can actually buy Jade with a token, so NFT token. So am I on the right track or I'm missing something? They're two different things. However, I would love you to explain me if you wish.
Right. So the Jade token is a FT. It's a fungible token.
Okay.
NFT is a non-fungible token. So if you look at any liquid asset like Tether USDT or a JPY stablecoin or Canadian dollar stablecoin, all of these things are fungible tokens. If I send you one and you send it to someone else, it's all the same token from the view of the network. And an NFT is really just a one of one. So it's almost like you issue a one of one USDT token or a one of one Canadian dollar, and then you issue another separate asset with a different asset ID. So NFTs are basically one-off tokens. And the Jade token, so we implemented a function in our store to allow us to pre-sell Jades. So you basically are buying a token to reserve your place in line for when we have them in store. I think it was a novel idea to allow people to get a token, and this way they could trade it with their friends or gift it to other people to redeem at a later time. So I think it's a fun way to use liquid tokens and liquid tech. And yeah, so those are not really NFTs, but we do have an NFT platform called Raretoshi, NFT website actually. So the platform under that is called LNFT for Liquid NFT. And it's just a way that it helps artists issue and mint tokens easily through this website. And then it can be traded using atomic swaps on the Liquid network. And artists can also set a royalty and basically collect a portion of future sales down the road.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for this information. And about Lightning, what do you think is the future of Lightning? What are the recent developments? Is there something new?
Yeah, I mean, Lightning is always getting a lot of development work. C Lightning, I think we added dual funding to the plugins for C Lightning. So we have some other interesting things too, probably coming out in the next month or so. I can't announce it yet, but it'll be a pretty big game changer for Lightning overall. And let's see what else. Hopefully, we'll be able to support Lightning in our wallet soon too. So that's about all I have right now for you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So this is big news. So we are expecting something very big on Lightning, which is going to be a game changer. I love it. Thank you, Samson. Hmm. So regarding the latest product that has been released by Blockstream, this is the AQUA wallet, if I'm not wrong, or there is something newer than AQUA.
Well, Aqua's been out for a while. We're still waiting to release an Android version. But I guess the newest product would be the Blockstream Mining Note. That's a security token that's issued in the Liquid network.
It's
But
not. It's not here yet.
It's under Blockstream Finance, I think.
Ah, okay.
So we've brought on a new executive to the team, Jesse. Let me
Mhm.
pronounce his name right, Knudsen. So he's our VP of Finance, and he's actually a former banker and also a Bitcoin exchange person. But he's running this new division for us to basically design and launch these financial products built on top of the Liquid network. And the first one is the BMN, which is effectively a securitization of our mining operations. So you can get into mining without having to buy hardware, build out the infrastructure, and handle all of that. And you have the added benefit of liquidity. So you can invest in mining, and when it's listed on security token exchanges, you'll be able to, exit your position and sell to someone else really easily.
Okay, so please correct if wrong. My understanding is following. This is kind of a token which is backed up with services, with products, caching power, and you are giving at the disposal of these people who are interested to mine without investing in the hardware. This token, which is based on Liquid, is representing the respective package of hashing power that the person has, or it's something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so one BMN is selling for 200,000 euros. That's the minimum size that we have to work with. And that is 2,000 terahash. So you're basically getting hash rate over a three-year term. And the Bitcoin mined is paid out at the end of that term. So it's a way to become a Bitcoin miner without having to,
Yeah.
be a miner.
Yeah.
And you have the added benefit of that liquidity and tradability that comes with tokenization. So this is a security token. So it's not, it's not an ICO, it's an STO. It's regulated, it's issued from a Luxembourg vehicle and regulated in Luxembourg. So these we'll probably have additional security tokens down the road, and also my game company is doing a security token as well. So I really think that security tokens will be a game changer, but we're slow to. The market is being a bit slow to develop. I think people are more focused on a lot of the scammier things rather than doing things in a legal and regulated manner.
Unfortunately, yeah, this is the reality. Okay, let's switch then into the gaming topic, if you wish.
Sure.
Thank you. So, Pixel Matic. Uh,
Yes.
so honestly, me personally, I'm not a gamer. My partner in life is a very big gamer, and I have to be always keep myself up to date with the screen. And however, what this company, this is you, okay? You are working on developing games, or not only.
Yeah, so I'm also, I started out in games, and I still am in games. So Pixelmatic is building an MMO sci-fi title called Infinite Fleet. And this is being published by a company called Exordium. And Exordium is raising the capital. It's a game publisher. So the security token for Exordium is called EXO. There's actually going to be two tokens, one for the US market and then one for Europe and the rest of the world. And we're already doing the token sale. To date, we've raised a total of $7.3 million, I think. And the current round is still ongoing. And the European token sale is being handled by Stoker, STOKR.io. So if your viewers are interested to check it out, they can visit them and take a look at it, or find more info at infinitefleet.com. But it's a way for gamers to own a piece of the game. So as it is an MMO game, and most people that get into MMO games end up playing for a number of years, you can also invest a minimum of $100 into the game, and you can play the game and be an investor in the game. So I think it's an interesting model, and one of our main focuses is to um, allow as many investors as we can into it. So we haven't been looking for VC investors, uh, or big funds to invest. We want to have the players as our investors, because we think that is where the incentives are the most aligned. We want a very dedicated fan base that will play the game and also take pride in the fact that they can own a piece of equity in the publishing vehicle as well. So this token will confer 20% of profits, and as it is effectively equity, if Exordium were acquired down the road, then they would get some money from the acquisition or M&A.
Right. I'm sure it's going to be very successful. Having
Thanks.
in mind the mindset of the gamers, for sure, if they become big fans of the particular game, they would really love also to own it, to have a piece from it. So it's wonderful. And are you currently developing any new games, or you'd love to set up this new capability to buy partially the game on the current ones that you've already have in place? Or maybe
Right.
these are not all the games that I see here.
No, so we're only working on Infinite Fleet. That's our
Okay.
biggest project. It is an MMO game, and we still have a lot to do. The game right now is in alpha, and we're working towards a beta release next year. So we've got a ton of work. The team is like 30 some odd people right now, and we're still expanding. We have a lot to do and a lot of work to do. So we're not really looking at other games. And as an MMO game, the scope of Infinite Fleet is very massive. Like all the spaceships are actually NFTs. We haven't issued the NFTs yet, but the plan is that every spaceship in the game is an NFT. The game currency is also a crypto asset. It's called INF, and there's a finite amount of it. So we're basically using a lot of Blockstream tech. We're using the Liquid network heavily, and we really want to um, change the dynamic. So a lot of MMO games, they don't embrace secondary markets, but we want players to be able to have that secondary market. That's why we want the game currency, like World of Warcraft Gold, to be that crypto asset called INF, so that they can take it out of the game, they can do whatever they want with it, and all the trade of the spaceships and for the currency are done through liquid atomic swaps. So there's no need for trust. You don't need to send someone the money first and hope that they give you the item. It's either executed or not executed, and that's a benefit of being able to do this on liquid.
Great. So we are looking for its release. Great. So you've said that now it's in alpha, beta. By the end of the year, you're expecting this to happen.
I think beta will be next year sometime. We haven't picked the exact date yet,
Mhm.
and we still have a lot of work to do. So we're very much focused on one game.
Okay, great. And okay, so in general, sorry, the last question here. So this is going to be something which is only for your products, or you're going to provide this as a technology, as a service to other companies and competitors who are willing to apply the same way of tokenizing the games, or it's going
Yeah.
to be like in Blockstream does something and then everybody does something which is related to exactly that what Blockstream has published or released as a product. So is this similar approach?
Right. I think that's a good question. So right now, Exordium is the publisher, and it is publishing one game, Infinite Fleet. But the longer term plan is Exordium will publish a number of other games. And when you publish a game, you're licensing that effectively and operating that game. Then we can make it a mandate. So you would need to also use the INF currency in that game, and you would also tokenize your items using the Liquid network as well. And then you kind of have this interoperability between different items from different games. Um, and I think we will focus mainly on MMO type games and possibly sci-fi games. So, I think we'll be able to build up a large following that would, would potentially want to take items from Infinite Fleet and use it in another game, a similar type of game, or another MMO game where they would be able to use that item in a different manner. So this is kind of what people are talking about in terms of the metaverse, right? So all your items and all your things are interchangeable, and I think this is the path that we're going to try to take, which is licensing additional games and expanding our world around this ecosystem built on Liquid.
Great. Thank you, Samson, for sharing all this wonderful news with me. I'd love you to switch back to Bitcoin for a while. I'm really interested you to share with me more about your thoughts around the privacy on Bitcoin.
Mhm.
So now we've had the Taproot, which's been released. But what do you think in general? What is the direction? There is a plan of the core team that they're working on.
So your question is privacy in Bitcoin, right?
Correct. Right.
Yeah, so there's a number of ways to look at it. One is privacy of being able to transact Bitcoin. And I think that is helped by having the Liquid network and the Lightning network, because those transactions do have a degree of confidentiality. So Lightning, after you open your channel, it's impossible to detect how you're routing your payment through the network. And if you're using Liquid, Liquid has confidential transactions. So if I send you an INF token in Liquid, no one knows if I'm sending you INF or if I'm sending you USDT or Liquid Bitcoin. So any Liquid asset being transacted cannot be identified. So you have the benefit on these layer 2 solutions. But I guess if your question is like, would you have confidential transactions on the Bitcoin main chain? I think it's a bit more difficult to say, maybe, and maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years. It's difficult because there are concerns, of inflation bugs, like undetectable inflation. But the good thing is we can prove out a lot of these technologies in the Liquid network, and perhaps after 10 years, people will become comfortable with the idea of confidential transactions, and they see that it works on Liquid. There's been no bugs or exploits, and someone might champion adding it to the Bitcoin base layer. So it's
Yeah.
difficult to say, but hopeful.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I hope so too. So there is a federation in Liquid. So we are dependable. Everybody who is pegging into Liquid and going on the side chain to get all the benefits of it. So is dependable on this federation, which is growing. I see before we used to have less companies and representatives in that list. Right now it's being extended, and I assume there are other people and companies who would love to be part of this federation, which is great. And but it's an argument maybe from the people who are not well aware of the technology and how it works, that this is kind of a problem that we have to put our trust in the federation. So, and I've discussed this with several people. And the reality is that if something happens with the federation within 6 months, everybody can redeem back the amounts in Bitcoin, right? If I'm not wrong.
Well, there is a timeout. So there's like 2,000 something Bitcoin locked into the network, and if that network fails for some reason, then those coins can be accessed by an emergency key. It's actually an emergency multi-sig, and then the operators of the network can redistribute the coins to the correct holders of the coins based on the network status. But I think it's a bit of a incorrect kind of a assumption that you need to trust the federation. So anybody can run a Liquid node. The only part that people can't do is run a functionary. So this is the server effectively that is extending the Liquid blockchain, the Liquid side chain. So Liquid is a separate blockchain. It's anchored to Bitcoin through a two-way peg that is maintained by the federation, a subset of the federation members. So you saw there that you're scrolling through the list. There's like 60 some odd members. 15 of them are running functionary boxes around the world. And these are black boxes. So they can't actually do anything. They can't censor a transaction. All they can do is turn the box off and then it'll degrade the block times, right? It's kind of like when hash rate drops on the Bitcoin network, the blocks become a bit slower. So they can't actually, they can't see what's being transacted, and they can't, stop you from sending a transaction to your partner. It's impossible. The only thing they can do is stop generating blocks, and then if enough of them do that, the network will grind to a halt. But if it's just one or two at a given time, it'll just degrade the frequency of blocks slightly. But you don't really need to trust them, because you can run your own Liquid node just like you can run your own Bitcoin node, and you can verify that everything adds up correctly. So the only thing that you need to rely on the Federation for is for pegging out your Liquid Bitcoin. And that's more of a safety precaution than anything else. So when you can peg in Bitcoin if you want as an end user, but to peg out, you need to go through an existing member. And one of the members now, SideSwap, they actually offer a peg out service. So you can actually now peg out Bitcoin from SideSwap. Whereas previously you need to go to an exchange and request a withdrawal, and they will give you Bitcoin for Liquid Bitcoin.
Right. Okay. So this is just, thank you for this explanation. And again, as I have assumed, it's just the wrong perception of the people due to incapability to understand properly what is going on in the reality. So this is great. So it looks like Liquid is the future. And it's not only the future, it's already happening.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of people adopting Liquid. BISC wants to use Liquid as a base layer. SideSwap has gained a lot of followers and popularity. Their Telegram channel is super active, and we see new people using Liquid all the time. So Zaprite is another one. But yeah, we're seeing a lot more interest in Liquid these days, just because people understand it's really easy to use, and using a Liquid stablecoin like USDT is just super simple and straightforward, and people find it very useful. HODL's another venue. They are seeing a lot of use of USDT on Liquid as well, and they're seeing a lot of demand for Liquid-based lending. So hopefully that will keep on growing, and we'll see more and more use.
Definitely. Thank you, Samson. And I would love to hear for one last question, which is to you only. What, aside from all the projects that you're working on, and Blockstream, Infinite Fleet, etc., so where you're putting your strengths and energy right now, what is your personal goal? Do you have any plans for the near future? Something you'd love to share?
Let me think. I've been meaning to do more writing and post more blog posts on my website. I have one at samsonmow.com, but I haven't really had much time to do writing. But that's my personal goal, that this year I'll start putting out more pieces of written content. It's on my to-do list.
Looking forward to reading your content and also to be sharing it with my audience.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you very much.